And now, from Washington, D.C., under the leadership of Chief Master Sergeant Brian McDonald and the musical direction of Master Sergeant Kevin Sarovich, please welcome the Airmen of Note. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as you are able for the playing of the national anthem.
Kevin Zarovich, and from our nation's capital, the United States Air Force Band, we are the Airmen of Note. On behalf of our commander, Colonel Don Schofield, and the rest of the Air Force Band, it's a pleasure to be here with you in the hub city. And yes, this city, of course, I was reading about today, is a long legacy of military service, and we were excited to get out on the road. Frankly, anytime we get to leave Washington, D.C. is a good time, but it was nice coming out here to Mississippi, which is very much an Air Force state. Many bases here, including Keesler, and a lot of amazing stuff that goes on here. In fact, I was reading today on the way down here, because we just got in, set up, and played the gig, but perhaps tomorrow we'll see the African American Military History Museum. And I was reading about Jesse Brown, the first African American naval aviator who flew on his 20th combat mission over the Chosin Reservoir in Korea. He was shot down and lost his life, but nonetheless, just another exemplar of the incredible legacy of service here in Mississippi. So, we are glad to be here. Also, it's the home of Brett Favre and Fred Armisen. That's pretty cool, too. Or Favre went to school here, Armisen's from here. That's right. Anyway, so that first tune we opened up with was a barn burner from the pen of Dizzy Gillespie, the great trumpeter and composer of the 20th century. And on that first, you got to meet back there on trumpet from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that's Senior Master Sergeant Luke Brandon. Down there on tenor sax from Fort Worth, Texas, that's Technical Sergeant Will Nathman. Down there on bass trombone from Greenbush, Maine, that's Senior Master Sergeant Ben Polk. That next one we played is kind of the theme of what we'll be getting into this evening, which is our upcoming album, which we're actually going to record next week. And it's an exploration of American folk music and what makes our music and our culture in this country so special and unique. And we kind of have gone back through the annals of American songwriting all the way back to the 18th century in some cases, and pick tunes that move us and relate to where we're from. That one, for those of you that aren't from upstate New York, was entitled Low Bridge, or the Erie Canal as it's known. And it was arranged by one of our two upstate New York natives, Buffalo's finest, back there, Technical Sergeant Brendan Lanahan on trombone. And we're going to go out of my way for the first night on tour not to make fun of Buffalo with Brendan up here, because he does a great job. And on lead alto from Marion, Massachusetts, that's Master Sergeant Christian Marsvik. All right, now I'm going to introduce you to the one member of the Airmen who you haven't met yet, and she is our fantastic vocalist, and she's going to be singing Sammy Nestico's arrangement of From This Moment On. She's from Bountiful, Utah. Please give a warm welcome to Technical Sergeant Claire Campbell.
This moment on, you for me dear, only tea for two dear, from this moment on. This happy day, no more blue songs, only movie songs from this moment. For the I need some from this moment on.
back to the folk music of America. This one comes from the Appalachian region and was arranged by our buried player, Technical Sergeant Seth Eversole, and it tells a beautiful story of a lone traveler and their journey, their trials, their tribulations. So we'd like to do it for you. This is Wayfaring Stranger. Traveling through this world alone, there is no sickness, no toil, no danger in that fair land to which I go. I'm going home to see my mama. I'm going home, no more to roam. I'm just going on a journey.
some more with Claire, but first I want to introduce you to a special person that's here with us this evening. And he can answer a lot of questions you might have about your Air Force because he is your local Air Force recruiter. Where are you there, Staff Sergeant Woods? Are you out there? There you go. I tell you what, sir, stay back there. Why don't we lock the doors until we get 10 new recruits? Is that he can answer the questions you have. So as I mentioned, this album we are doing now is North American folk music and exploring it. The last album we did the same thing in South America. And we had occasion to go to Brazil and work with the Brazilian Air Force Symphony Orchestra and made some lifelong friends down there. And we took music from all over South America and studied it and worked on it. And this next one is from a poet in Chile. And it's a really fascinating piece entitled Gracias a la Vida, which means thank you to life. And it's about the ups and downs and the highs and lows, all of the package that makes up this beautiful life we live. And so we're going to feature Clara singing in Spanish on this one. So please enjoy our arrangement of Gracias a la Vida.
Gracias a la vida, que cuando los abro, me dio los luceros, que cuando los abro, perfecto distingo lo negro del blanco y en el alto cielo su fondo estrellado y en las multitudes el hombre que yo amo. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y el abecedario con las palabras que pienso y declaro. Padre, amigo, hermano y Dios Gracias a
me he dado la risa y me he dado el llanto. Ha sido distinto.
We'll get to hear more from Clara later on. How about on alto saxophone and the arranger of that piece from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that's Master Sergeant Mike Simcola. If you were listening during the introduction, you heard we were created in 1950 to carry on the style of Major Glenn Miller's Army Air Forces dance band. And for those that don't know, Glenn Miller was the biggest pop star of his day. He was the veritable Taylor Swift of 1939, 1940. And at the height of his popularity, he decided to come in and commission into the Army Air Corps, which is the predecessor to today's Air Force, and brought his entire band with him. Their entire big band, and they toured around the European theater for countless trips and hours. And of course, as a result, lost his life as a result of his service, but not before leaving the impression on the psyche of the world, in fact, that this American music, this jazz, is the sound of freedom, and it has been for an entire generation of people. And we're proud to carry on that legacy. And we love playing music both because of that solemn history, and also because it's a lot of fun to play. And it's good dance music, so I don't really see any area to dance, but use your imagination. We're going to play two Glenn Miller tunes for you now. First, American Patrol, then his arrangement of Rhapsody in Blue. Please enjoy. That music is classic. How about a hand on the baritone? Oh, well, excuse me, he played alto sax on that. From Reading, Pennsylvania, that's Technical Sergeant Seth Eversole. Down in front of me on tenor sax, beautiful solo. He really hit the bullseye on that one. He's from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. That's Senior Master Sergeant Grant Langford. So that piece was a fun one, that Rhapsody in Blue. And in fact, back in 2024, we got to perform it at the Library of Congress on the very 100th anniversary, down to the evening of its original premiere in 1924. We got to look at some of the original parts, handwritten by the composer and everything. It was a really beautiful experience. And on that, there's videos of it, and you can find them out there on social media. And that brings me to the next point, which we have social media, and the way you can find out about it, other than just Googling the United States Air Force Band, is to scan that QR code there, and it'll take you to our Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Find out the latest stuff that's going on, including upcoming events, our auditions, if you have some young musicians interested in serving in the band, and tour locations, plus there are thousands of free recordings to share with your friends and family. And lastly, if you're taking photos or videos of tonight, please tag us in them. We'd love to share them and get you more reach. It's at USAF Band. So we'd love to stay in touch that way. And get back down here as soon as possible to this beautiful part of the country. So getting back to the theme of Americana and the music of our forefathers, this next one is a really fun piece from a Shaker village in Maine. And this one was written, of course, by the great Elder Joseph Brackett, who was like Taylor Swift of 1848. He was an elder in the village and he wrote songs and poetry and so forth. This next one is a beautiful piece, and in fact, I'm going to read you one stanza of it. I think we could use it in the times we live. When true liberty is found, by fear and by hate, we will no more be bound. In love and in light, we will find our new birth, and in peace and freedom, redeem the earth. Yeah. So it is. He was like the Robert Frost of 1840. Anyway, but we had a fantastic arranger, Mr. Jacob Mann of Los Angeles Big Band fame, arrange it for us. And we're going to feature Will Appleman once again on his arrangement of Simple Gifts. Please enjoy. we're going to move along now, and we're going to play a really fun one. We played one by Dizzy Gillespie earlier. We're going to do one more of his tunes, or one that he made popular. But first, it's just a fascinating thing how Dizzy was able to match the highest level of artistic brilliance with just a hilarious comedic mind and a great sense of humanity. And Dizzy Gillespie was the great fuser of those two things. And in a way, he brought simplicity and humor to some of the most complicated artistic expression out there. So we're going to do that. And it's a song about an odd career path. And we're going to bring Clara Campbell back out to sing Dizzy Gillespie's arrangement of Umbrella Man. Ladies and gentlemen.
Don't bring your parasol and
about that great tenor saxophone solo once again from Senior Master Sergeant Lansford? Over there at drums, swinging from Decatur, Illinois, that's Master Sergeant Dave McDonald. Over there on piano, from Buffalo, New York, that's Master Sergeant Chris Ziemba. Chris, I'm going to restrain myself tonight. I usually joke around about Buffalo, and typically I do something like, look up, how many times the New Orleans Saints have beaten the Buffalo Bills, like back in 1973, 89, 2001, 2005, 2009, 2015, 2017. But I'm not going to do that tonight. So at this time, we'd like to call the director of the School of Music here, Dr. Colin McKenzie, and Chief Master Sergeant Brian McDonald to the stage for a presentation.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Is everybody having a good time tonight? I just wanted to take just a quick moment to just thank Dr. McKenzie publicly. It takes a lot of work to put on this concert, and sir, thank you very much for all that you did to bring us here and sponsor this concert at this wonderful hall. We just have a small token of appreciation for you, and it's actually a picture of me. and the band, of course, so I'm going to send off and thank you, Ms. Fondley. Thank you very much.
Great civilian sponsors like him. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do, so we really appreciate the community. And of course, Mississippi has been very supportive of the Air Force and us coming through, so thank you once again. Before we play one of our last tunes, I'd like to introduce you to a few folks who you haven't met yet, but without whom we couldn't do our job, or you wouldn't be able to hear it anyway. Back there, our chief audio engineer from Phillips, Wisconsin, that's Master Sergeant Jim Wolf. He's sure on the way by to play with some of the knobs or spill beer on the whatever, he loves that. Over here, our monitor engineer from Raritanburg, New Jersey, that's Anthony O'Connor. Down here on lead trombone, our fantastic lead trombonist from Salem, Oregon, that's Technical Sergeant Matt Hepworth. Over there on bass from Windsor, Connecticut, that's Master Sergeant Ben Thomas. And back here are two powerhouse lead and split lead trumpet players. First, one of the newest members of the band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on split lead trumpet, that's Technical Sergeant Fareed Simpson Hankins. Next to him, our boss, and a man that's played lead trumpet in the Airmen for 27 years. And he's also your favorite lead trumpet player's favorite lead trumpet player. For Fort Lauderdale, Florida, say hello to Chief Master Sergeant Brian McDonald. We're going to play one for you now that came from the brilliant mind of Dizzy Gillespie's worthy constituent, Mr. Shirley Parker, and legend in jazz. And this one was arranged for us by Michael Philip Mossman, and it's his enigmatically titled A Lucha. So please enjoy A Lucha. You've been a great crowd tonight. And before we bid you farewell, I just want to come out here and introduce a special group of people who are here with us tonight. And they're at every concert we play. We travel this country, north and south, east to west, and see a broader swath of it than most, and I'm grateful for that. And no matter where we play, there's this group of people at our shows, and I know they'll be well represented tonight. Men and women who, in my opinion, are the backbone of our society, who know the meaning of service before self-sacrifice. And I'm talking, of course, about our veterans. So if you are a veteran of any of the armed services in the United States, would you please stand and give us a wave so we know you're here tonight? Surprised here in Mississippi, the state with a great legacy of service, over 140,000 veterans in Mississippi alone. And like I said, even in spite of Camp Shelby being nearby for our friends in the Army to train in the Guard, I still claim this state for the Air Force between Columbus Air Base, and of course, Keesler Air Force Base, where many of us have gone to NCO Academy, and where they train the leaders of tomorrow, today, at Keesler. And also that fantastic Hurricane Hunter Squadron there. How many lives have those brave men and women saved over the years? And speaking of the Hurricane Hunters, we have a special guest with us tonight. And he's a retired Lieutenant Colonel Wayne Freeman, former navigator and squadron commander for the Hurricane Hunters in Keesler. And I'd like to say to you, sir, happy 91st birthday. Where are you, sir? We can't honor our veterans well or often enough. And indeed, it's on the veterans' shoulders that we, today's airmen serving, stand today. We're 18 active duty airmen ourselves. We represent the more than 680,000 Guard, active, reserve, and civilian partner airmen serving around the globe tonight. Many from right here in Mississippi. Because we can't show you what they do. We can't take you onto the flight line at Keesler. We can't take you into the missile silos at Minot. I mean, we're not allowed there either, but just go ahead. But what we can do is come here tonight and bring you a glimpse of the excellence and pride of your United States Air Force. So keep those men and women in your thoughts and prayers. And before we go, we're going to do one more song for you. It's by Woody Guthrie, in fact, and it's a song that does what we in the Air Force Band strive to do every day, which is to connect people through the power of music. To bring us home and to remind us of what we share in this great nation. And to say to those that would see Americans divided, that regardless of your politics, your religion, the color of your skin, we are one people. We are Americans. So with that, I'm done preaching. We're going to play our arrangement of Woody Guthrie's This Land Is Your Land. Please welcome back Clary Campbell.
This land is your land. In this land is my land. From California to the New
Encore! 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 In the mood!